Just to get started, I would just want to ask, obviously today is National Fentanyl Awareness Day. And since
Yes.
you've been, First Lady of Virginia, you've been very passionate about raising awareness for parents, for kids about the dangers of this drug. Can you just start with why that message is so important to you?
Yes, this message really is born out of loss. We lost a precious friend, 21-year-old healthy male, to fentanyl poisoning in 2020. And at that time, my husband and I really did not understand the dangers of fentanyl or the powerful nature of that drug. That drug is 50 times more potent than heroin, 100 times more potent than morphine. It is being laced into fake pills that look just like commonplace prescription drugs, things like Xanax, Adderall, Percocet. And young people in Virginia today are taking those pills unknowingly and losing their lives. We lost 100 youth to fentanyl poisonings in 2024. Now, that is down from 200 that we lost in 2023. So that number is moving in the right direction. But more often than not, our children are vulnerable. This fentanyl is easy to make, easy to sell, and sadly, it's killing our kids.
Definitely. You said that, like you said, you and Mr. Youngkin were not aware of this drug. I'm sure a lot of other parents aren't as well. Why do you think there's been such that kind of blind spot for parents right now with this drug?
I think originally, if I'm completely honest, there was a lot of shame associated with the families that were struggling. The Virginia mothers, particularly that I talk to routinely and understand their pain, it takes a very brave person to speak out on this issue. But they're no longer silent. We have fentanyl family ambassadors across our Commonwealth willing to talk about this most difficult issue. And I think that that has really been a sea change. I also think, shockingly, these pills and powders are readily available. The Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth just released a survey where young people in Virginia today said that almost 70% had been exposed to a pill or a powder in a social setting, and many were being offered pills by their peers. And so I think parents and young people are rightfully taking note. And as we always say, there is no pill that is safe other than one that is issued by a licensed pharmacist.
Absolutely. We know parents are obviously fighting so many influences when it comes to their kids, social media, their kids' peers. How do they start that conversation with their kids to say, hey, stay away from all of this stuff?
Well, it's tricky, right? It's a very difficult conversation, and no one's going to be an expert on the topic. But I think you need to be present. And I think that you also need to be prepared to have age appropriate conversations with young people. We've talked to young children as young as first grade about the dangers of picking something up at a playground and putting it in their mouth. So these conversations are important to be had. And the great news about this is that we are learning that these conversations matter and are making positive change. The CDC has just announced that Virginia is leading the nation in the reduction of overdose deaths. And here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we reduced fentanyl deaths by over 40% just last year. So again, there is tremendous work to do, but we have seen a lot of hope and optimism in the power of conversation.
And for families who may have already unfortunately seen their kids exposed or maybe have dabbled in these things, what kind of resources are there to help them get back on the right track and get away from that kind of stuff?
Well, one thing I would like to note is today in Virginia, flags are flying at half staff in honor of lives lost. So we never, ever forget those that have gone to heaven as a result of this poison. But for parents wanting to assist their kids, I would recommend a few things. Visit It Only Takes One health.virginia.gov. That is a website with tremendous amounts of resources, not the least of which are prompts on how you can talk to your teens and your young people about this issue. I also always encourage parents to reach out to their pediatricians and to their school counselors. Virginia is spending millions of dollars on youth mental health, and pediatricians and school counselors know how to access that health. And last but not least, I would encourage people to get trained in Revive. That is what our Virginia Department of Health is doing to empower people to be able to administer naloxone, which is a life-saving nasal mist. You present this mist to someone that is overdosing from an opioid, and it has the possibility of saving their lives. We see that time and time again. So there are a multitude of ways you can help. If you are really concerned about someone in crisis, please call 988. 988 is available 24/7, and it makes certain that first responders and those on the front lines of mental illness are available to Virginians in need. So check out itonlytakesone.virginia.gov to find out more about all of these resources.
All right. And last question. What message would you have to the kids? A lot of kids think my parents used to probably experiment with stuff. It's okay to try stuff. What message would you have to them about why this, especially fentanyl, is so different?
I would say to children, first of all, that they're seen and that they're cared for and that we realize they're struggling. So I think it's important that we listen to our children, that we understand what it is that would motivate them to turn to a substance to cope. And then secondly, I would encourage them again to recognize that no pill or powder is safe. Even if their peer says it is, or even if they think it will make them feel included or reduce their pain. There are other ways to make sure that you stay healthy, whether that is getting out of doors or doing something with a friend. And most importantly, make sure that there is someone, some adult in your life that you feel safe talking to. If there is not, please, please, please go talk to a school counselor, a teacher, a coach, an auntie, a pastor, or someone in your universe who you can really emote to and that you feel safe discussing these most difficult issues.
All right. Well, I think that's all I had. Any last words or any last messages?
Just thank you. Thank you for focusing on this issue. Virginia's media is a critical partner in amplifying this most important message. And even though we know it takes only one mistake to take a life, we know that it only takes one reporter like you to amplify what we're saying today to make a difference in the lives of Virginians. So thank you so, so much.
And thank you so much for taking this time with us. This is such an important issue, so we really appreciate you.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you.